All right. Here we are, day 5,
Hi,
First
everyone.
Strings Takeover.
Yes, day 5. It's been a great week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lots of great topics. And where are they stored, Maggie?
They are in the unit section 10 on the 50 Plus and Fabulous group. We'll have all our videos from this week as well as all the handouts. We'll be posting some more handouts later today. Those were just fresh off the typewriter.
Typewriter.
You can't say fresh off the press, you know. Never gets printed.
Yeah. Well, it's a sunny day here in Chicago. Finally, we got the sun coming out, which is really great. Although that also means it's really cold. But yeah. I love the sunshine. We need the vitamin D.
Definitely.
We're having some sun, but it's pretty. I got up and it was 18.
Yeah, that's cold. So, and Linda, remind us again, you're in Oregon?
Yeah, just south of Portland. So we had 3 inches of snow 2 days ago, which is, maybe once a winter that happens, but it's perfect. It was a winter wonderland, and then it melted.
Yeah.
Shoveling required.
That's the best.
It was nice.
I was brought up in South Dakota, and I don't want to go back to those winters.
Yeah. I know. We're supposed to get another snowstorm here in Chicago over the weekend, I think. So we'll see if that happens,
Well, it's still winter, so you'll probably get at least
one. I know it is. In February or almost February in Chicago, you can expect snow up to March, April, sometimes even May. So
May, June, July.
Let's hope not.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fun. Well, we have Linda here today talking about the amount of money you need to retire. So another great topic. We'll wait for a couple more people to jump on.
Yeah, everybody is wants to know their magic number, Linda.
That
is the $1 million question.
Yes. So you'll give us some tips on that as well.
We love everyone jumping on, say hello, tell us where you're from.
Yeah. Let's see who's out there on this beautiful Friday day.
Mm-hmm.
Friday.
I think it's a financially fearless Friday.
Oh, I love it.
There we go.
FFF, Financially Fearless Friday. Yeah, we want everyone to also join our Facebook group, which is Purse Strings for Financially Fearless Women, as it says down there. We do have a Facebook Live every Thursday at noon Central Time. So we always have wise experts, Purse Strings approved experts presenting at that time. Mm-hmm. And in our group, we always have lots of good information and worksheets and experts, and also on our site.
We even have Linda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have Linda. Mm-hmm. So she's multitasking for us, so it's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, money coach.
Mm-hmm.
Money. All right, we'll wait about just one more minute to get everyone on here.
Okay.
So
I always look at you, Maggie. You look like you're air traffic control.
I am. Got a lot of things I'm looking at.
Yeah, making sure everybody's getting in and everything looks good, sounds good.
Testing. No.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
Linda, are you doing anything fun this weekend?
I actually am getting ready for another talk next Wednesday. So.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah. I saw your glamping picture.
Oh my God, I love glamping. Well, was Kim's question. What's one thing that you've done that you would highly recommend? And it was on my bucket list for a couple of years. And I did it in the midst of COVID. We went to Utah and saw the 5 national parks, which is also on my bucket list, is to visit all the national parks.
Wow.
And, I wanted to glamp, and I did. And I love it. I highly recommend it.
It looks wonderful. Yeah, I answered that question too, and mine was to go on a blind date. That's where I met my husband.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Pretty funny. Yeah.
All right, should we kick it off? Should we get started?
Let's get started. So welcome everyone. So great to have everyone here today in the 50 plus and fabulous group. And we want to thank Kim for starting this group and allowing Purse Strings to come in and take over this week. Purse Strings was founded by myself and my daughter Maggie. We realized that women needed online tools and resources to make smart financial decisions. We do not sell any financial products. I'm actually an adult educator and have been working in the financial industry and could see that women were an overlooked market, and could also see that women were really not equipped or feel confident to make some good decisions for themselves. And so that's why we provide lots of tools and resources free on our site, as well as in our Facebook group and here in things like this Facebook Live. But moreover, we also educate insurance and financial, mortgage, lending, all things financial professionals, that women can feel confident that they're going to be partnered with a financial professional who's been trained and vetted by Purse Strings. And these professionals really know how to serve a female market. What we've learned through our research and our focus groups is that women never felt comfortable with many of the people they did some financial transactions with. They felt overlooked, dismissed, belittled, and none of that anymore with Purse Strings. We are providing you a cadre of professionals who are willing, ready, and able to serve you and help you meet your financial needs. So with that, I will turn it over to Maggie. Maggie, why don't you go ahead and kick off the event today?
Yes. So as a money coach, Linda Lingo brings her breadth and depth of experience and education to each of her coaching clients. She inspires and guides women into clarity and confidence with their money. Her compassion, empathy, and excellent listening skills sets her apart as a money coach. Linda will share more of her story, and then we'll get into the topic today. You can also check out Linda at her Instagram page at Money Mama Mentor, and I just have to mention that because I love that name. So, Linda, I'm going to hand it over to you, and we'll get started.
Oh, thank you so much, Maggie and Barb. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. And Kim, thanks for starting this fabulous group. And because I'm definitely in this age group and I've joined it, and I love the questions. And I don't know if you heard us chatting just before we officially got started, but the question Kim asked, I think yesterday, was what's one thing you've done that you highly recommend? And so I put on there a picture of me glamping this fall at one of the national parks in Utah. And so anyway, all that to say, thank you for being here, and I love this group. So I was asked to talk today as a money coach on how much money do I need to retire? Well, girlfriends, I got to tell you, this is the $1 million question, because I get asked it all the time as a money coach. And unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, it's not an easy answer, and there's not one answer. It's kind of like shoes. One size doesn't fit all. And there's not one answer for all of you. But the good news is I'm going to give you some general guidance to answering this huge question. So where do we start? Well, the first place you got to get started is you have to know your money story and your money values. And anyone who's worked with me knows that's where we have to start, the psychology of money and how you relate to it. And you're probably saying, why? What does this have to do with retirement? Well, with setting any financial goal, and retirement is definitely a financial goal, the goal has to be in alignment with your values. So let me give you an example. Let's say one of your values is family. That might mean in retirement that you decide to move closer to your grandkids so you can experience more family time in your retirement. Or maybe one of your values is giving back to the community. And this may involve more volunteer hours in your retirement. So once you know your values, you can set your financial goals in alignment with them. So to start the process of retirement planning, you need to know your values and you need to dream. I know, dreaming. Can you believe that in finances? Yeah, you got to dream. You need to think about where you want to spend your retirement, who you want to spend it with, and what you want to do in retirement. Think of it this way. Planning for retirement is like putting together a roadmap that will get you from here to there. Now, you know where you are today, and you know where your finances are today. But if you don't know where you want to get, it's pretty hard to put together a map to get there. You'll get somewhere, but you may not get where you want it to be. So let's take a few minutes to dream about where you want to be in retirement. So let's start out with, where do you see yourself retiring? On the beach? In a mountain cabin? Maybe driving an RV across the country? Maybe moving closer to grandkids? Or moving overseas to Costa Rica or Portugal or Greece for retirement? Well, it's probably after the pandemic and after you get your vaccination, but those are all possibilities. And you know what? There's no right or wrong answer. It's your answer. It's important to be intentional about your retirement, because that puts you in control instead of just letting it happen. So who do you want to spend your retirement with? Seriously, do you want to spend it with your partner, with your spouse, with your girlfriend, with your sister, with your grandkids? Those are all options. And like I said, it's up to you. So think about it. Who do you want to spend it with? And then what do you want to do in retirement? Do you want to volunteer more at the library? Do you want to volunteer at your grandkids' school? Do you want to maybe do more nonprofit work that's meaningful to you? Do you want to travel? Do you want to golf more? Do you want to play pickleball? Do you want to dance? Do you want to sing? Do you want to do Zumba? Do you want to write your memoirs? Do you want to read more? Do you want to hike? The choices are endless. So dream and customize your retirement to you. Now, some of you might be scratching your head and saying, now, why the heck did she make me go through that exercise? Because you have to know what you want your retirement to look like so you can put a budget together for that lifestyle. And I have to tell you, I find it rather annoying and not very helpful when a financial coach or a financial advisor says, oh, just save 80% of your current budget and you'll be fine in retirement. Because that's what they did with me, and it's not true. So spoiler alert, 80% probably is not going to be enough. Did they ask you what you want to do in retirement, or where you're going to spend your retirement, or who you're going to be with? No. So don't get boxed in. Dream big and plan for it. And like I said, 80% probably isn't going to be enough. Okay, so after you've identified the retirement of your dreams, then you can start putting together a budget for it. For instance, if you want to drive an RV across the country, then you need to do research on buying an RV. Are you going to have enough cash on hand to pay cash for it? Are you going to need to finance part of it? If you need to finance it, then that's a monthly payment that you're going to include in your monthly budget. Or maybe you live in a cold part of the country and you'd like to spend winter months in a warmer place. Arizona or Florida come to mind. You need to research, are you just going to go down and rent? Are you going to buy? How much is this going to cost? Because those dollars and cents have to be part of your retirement budget. So this is how you start putting dollars to your retirement budget expense items. Living costs. So that's what we were just talking about. Maybe, here's a question I get asked a lot. Should I pay off my mortgage before I retire? And I say, if you can afford to, yes, absolutely. And if you do pay off your mortgage and you want that second home, then maybe that mortgage payment will be substituted for your current mortgage payment. So you'll still have the same total living expense, mortgage-wise, but it's going to be transitioned to a second home. So living expenses are what you need to start with when you're budgeting for retirement. Now, I'm making a big assumption here, so I've got to clarify this. I am assuming that you already are budgeting that you've already tracked your expenses and you know where your money's going. And so you know where you are today. Now, if you don't, then we've got to back up, because you need to be able to track your expenses and have a budget in place for where you are today. But I'm assuming that you've done that. If you haven't, I've actually got a blog coming out next week on budgeting hacks. There's more than one way to budget, thank God. And I've also got one on how to pay off credit card debt. But I'm assuming you've already done that and you know where you are today. So we are putting together our retirement budget so we can compare the two. So like I was saying, your living expenses, you need to put dollars and cents to that for your retirement. So maybe you paid off the mortgage, but you're going to get a second home. What are the living expenses? What are utilities? What are things like that where you're going to have your second home? Or your RV. Okay, you're going to buy the RV, but you've got to also figure in there, money for gas and things like that. And maybe you're going to store your existing, belongings and sell your host. So that's why you got to dream and kind of think through it before you start putting money, dollars and cents to your budget. So coming up with your living expenses, that's a big part of it, and one that takes some time. And I'm just trying to jog your memory or give you some ideas on things to think about when you're putting those dollars and cents together. And then besides living expenses, healthcare expenses, you definitely have to budget for healthcare expenses. So what I see is most of my clients budget more heavily for travel in their 60s and 70s, because they tend to be in better health. And then they budget more for healthcare expenses in their later 70s, 80s, and into their 90s. Did you know that the average woman spends $250,000 on healthcare costs over her 25 years of retirement? Now that may seem like a big dollar amount, but when you kind of break it down, that's what, $10,000 a year? That's probably not that bad. But it's just a number you need to be aware of, and make sure that you've got healthcare costs budgeted. And another thing that you need to consider is long-term care. Because women tend to live longer than men, actually 65 going into retirement, if you're in good health, you're probably your average life expectancy for women is 25 years. And we tend to outlive men by 5 years is the average. So when you're looking at that, you've got to also plan for long-term care. You can either fund it yourself, which is expensive, or you can have long-term care insurance. And I know we had a presenter on this week that talked about long-term care and how to plan for that. So I would suggest you go back and look at that. I think she presented yesterday, if I remember right. Anyway, so that has to be part of your budget, is your long-term care expense, whether it's through a life insurance policy or a long-term care insurance policy, but you need to have that figure in your expenses. And like I said, we women are living longer. So you can see you need to have your retirement income last 25 to 30 years. When I'm working with women putting together their retirement plan, I say, we need to plan for assuming they have good health and, the family history is good. 95 is a very realistic age to budget to, and men age 90. So we need to plan for our retirement income to last a long time. And so speaking of retirement income, so we put together our budget for our expenses. So now what we have to do is we have to figure out, how are we going to pay for this? And that's where saving for retirement income comes into play. So one area, most of us, if we're in the 50 plus, we're probably getting Social Security benefits, which is great. And I think we can plan on it. Unfortunately, when I'm coaching my younger clients, I tell them, don't plan on Social Security. Unfortunately, people in their 20s and 30s, I say, you got to fully fund your retirement, which is pretty sad. But for us, I think we can rely on Social Security. So the first place, I always tell clients to go on to their ssa.gov, ssa.gov, and look at your Social Security statement every year. Why? Number one, you want to make sure that Social Security is recording your income correctly. And secondly, on the second page, it's on the inside of the front, page 2. Up at the top, it'll show you what your full retirement age is, and that depends on what year you were born in. And your projected, now keep in mind it's projected unless you're already taking your benefits, projected Social Security income will be. Now, as Bo presented on Wednesday, and he did an excellent job on Social Security. So if you have specific Social Security questions, go watch his presentation on Wednesday. It was really good. But as he said, your Social Security benefits are based on your 35 years of highest income. So they're projecting you to continue making whatever the last year's income was when they're putting together that projected benefit. So pull that every year, take a look at it, and make sure your income is correctly recorded, and then what your full retirement benefits will be at your full retirement age. Now, for most of us, that's going to be age 66. For younger people, it's going to be 67. So take a look at that, and that will help you decide on see what your Social Security income could be. And as Bo said, and I agree, you have to be very strategic in claiming your Social Security benefits and when you decide to start taking them. But let's just say you know what they are and that you pull your statement. A second source of income might be pension. So say you work for a state or federal agency, maybe a larger corporation, and they offer a pension. You should have your HR department pull a preliminary report so that you can get an idea of what amount of pension you could expect at full retirement age. So for most, it's probably age 65. It's going to depend on your company and the pension plan, the way it's set up. But that will give you an idea of income that you can rely on. And of course, the next source is your retirement, the savings that you have accumulated. Let me back up. You might have passive income, and passive income would be maybe you bought some rentals, and so you have rental income. So you might have that in there as well. But for most of us, I would say at least half to 3/4 of our retirement income is going to be coming from our retirement savings, like a 401k or an IRA. And that's where it's our job to, quote, fill the gap. So for instance, well, I'll stop there. I'm going to keep going. But Maggie, are there any questions yet?
It does not seem like we have any questions yet. You are getting some love for this great information that you were providing. But yes, anyone who is here, please throw in any of the questions you have throughout, and we will be stopping periodically for them. So, but until then, I'll let you keep going.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, feel free to ask questions. Maggie will share them and we'll try to get them answered. Okay, so now let's talk about your savings. So this is, probably why you're tuning in is, okay, now, how much am I supposed to be saving? So of course you can max out your 401k. This year it's $19,500 if you're 50 or older, which most of us are. Then you can add another $6,500. It was true for last year and it's true 2020. It's true for 2021. So you can maximize your 401k $26,000 a year. If you don't have a 401k or a 457B or a 403B, so there's different names, they're basically the same. You can have an IRA. So the most you can contribute to an IRA this last year and this year is $6,000. If you're 50 or older, you can contribute an additional $1,000, which I highly recommend you do. Oh, and here's your tax tip. You can still open and contribute to your IRA for 2020 up until the day you file your tax return. So if you haven't filed your tax return because IRS isn't accepting them until February 12th. So no excuses. If you haven't opened and fully funded your IRA for 2020, please do it. If you're 50 or older, you can be putting in $7,000 for 2020. And then, of course, start contributing for 2021. Now, if you're a solopreneur or an entrepreneur that has your own business, you actually have more options. because then you have what we call a solo 401k, which you can contribute significantly more to, a SEP, which is for a self-employed pension. I have a lot of real estate agents, self-employed people who use that, the SEP. And then if you're a small business owner and you only have like up to 10, 15 employees, then a simple IRA is a really nice vehicle to be saving for retirement for both the employer and the employees. And depending on your income, it depends on how much you can contribute to each one of those. And that's not a topic I'm going to go into today. I'm actually presenting on that next week. But so these are all pre-tax retirement savings options that you have. Now you might say, well, Linda, I've maxed out my 401k. I can't contribute to an IRA. So what else can I do? Good question. You can actually, I call it a brokerage account. It's an investment account. And this is where you can save after-tax dollars or monies for retirement. You can use it for anything, but you might want to label it as your retirement after-tax savings account. And you can put in an unlimited amount into that. And that's another way to catch up, if you will, if you started late saving for retirement. So the overall goal is to match your retirement income with your retirement expenses. So that's why I said you need to put together your retirement budget so you know how much you need in retirement income. It's not going to help if you have, a certain amount that will give you, say, $50,000 in retirement income and your budget's $100,000. That's a whole mismatch, and it's not going to work out very well for you. So when you're saving for retirement, think of it as what we call the accumulation phase. So you're accumulating, your investments are growing, and you really, so this is a really general, and I'm not giving any investment advice here, but you really need to have your investments in growth investments. If you don't know what a stock, a bond, or a mutual fund is, I just did a post on that. Go check it out. It's really easy to read. You need to understand what your investment options are, because you need, well, I shouldn't say you need. I want you to understand how to invest your money so that you're in control, because that's how we feel secure. So we're in the growth mode, we're investing. That's up until we retire. So grow until we retire. And when you retire, that's kind of when it transitions to withdrawal. So you've been accumulating all this time, and now it's time to take money out. And a question I get asked a lot is, well, what withdrawal rate should I use on my retirement savings? Savings being whether it's a 401k or an IRA or after-tax money. I'm pretty conservative in this area. I'm conservative because I've been around a long time and I've seen a lot of things. And when I talk a withdrawal rate, I say 3 to 4% is really the maximum you should plan on or consider withdrawing from your principal on an annual basis. Why? Because we don't want to run out of money. We don't want to outlive our investments. We don't want to, be living high on the hog the first couple of years and then all of a sudden go, how am I going to make it the next 20 years? So 3 to 4% is what I recommend as far as a withdrawal rate when you're in retirement, taking from your investments. And the other thing is, you don't want to be in a position where you're withdrawing from the principal right away. You've got to have that continue growing for you. Why? Because of inflation. Now, I know we are in a very low inflation period right now, but it will not last. Historically, we have averaged 3% inflation. And that's usually what I use when I'm working with clients, is a 3% average. So what does that mean? What it means is what costs, let's say gas costs $3 a gallon today. In 25 years from now, that will double in cost. So with 3% average inflation, the cost of everything doubles every 25 years. So if you're starting retirement right now, 25 years from now, you can expect everything to cost twice as much. So that budget that you had put together isn't going to be the same 25 years from now when you're paying those bills. So that's the impact of inflation. And that's why I recommend to clients that you got to keep some growth in your investments, even in retirement. That's a whole nother, investments is another conversation, but it's something to keep in the back of your mind when you're looking at your portfolio or what you're invested in. So for instance, if your annual retirement budget that you put together is $100,000 in 25 years, so say you retire at age 65, it's $100,000. At age 90, that will be $200,000. That's why it's so critical not to take too much, not more than 3 or 4% withdrawals, so that your money keeps growing to keep pace with inflation, so you don't run out of money. And I guess the other thing I would say about retirement is its transition. You know, it's not cold turkey. It doesn't have to be cold turkey. You know, we stopped working at age 65 and now, sit around eating bonbons. But anyway, it can be a transition. And I highly recommend that. I have a lot of my clients who decided to work part-time or consulting or, doing something to bring in a little income. But it's, of course, individual and totally up to you. So I am ready to put some numbers to all of this and give you some examples. But before I do that, Maggie, are there any questions? Anything I can answer yet?
No, I think everything is so clear. People are loving your IRA tips. That's great to know. Mm-hmm. It's a reason to push back doing your taxes a little bit if you know you can fill up all that money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can't do it with a 401k because that ends at the end of the year, but you can do it with an IRA. You can also do it with a SEP or a solo 401k. No, not solo 401k, but the SEP you can. So keep it in mind when you're doing your 2020 taxes.
Awesome. Great to know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me put some dollars and cents to all this verbiage I've been giving you. So let's take the worst case example and we'll work backwards from there. So worst case example is you haven't worked, you have no Social Security, and you have to fully fund your own retirement income. Well, if you, let's just stick with that 100,000. Let's say that is your retirement budget. If you're going to fully fund that yourself with a 3% withdrawal rate, then you would need to have in savings $3,334,000. That's what it's going to cost. That's what you're going to need for 3% withdrawal to fund that retirement for approximately 50 years. Not only that, but you're going to have at least 50% in stocks to continue growing that principal, so you keep pace with inflation and don't outlive it. Okay, that's worst case. Let's take a look at if you have Social Security benefits. And let's say you're retiring at age 65, your full retirement age is 65, and you have Social Security benefits of $24,000 a year, and you've decided now is the best time to take it. Well, if you have $100,000 in your budget, and you can fund $24,000 of that through Social Security income, then that means you only have to fund $76,000 through your retirement income. $76,000, a 3% withdrawal rate. So you're looking at $2,534,000 that you need to have in a 401k, an IRA, or after-tax investments to fund that. Well, let's say you're lucky enough and you have a pension too, And so you've got that same 100,000 budget. Social Security is going to give you 24,000 towards that, and then you've got a pension of say 36,000. That leaves 40,000 a year for you to fund from your retirement income, which means at a 3% withdrawal, you'd need to have saved $1,334,000. And that is same thing. You still got to have some stocks in there so you can have some growth, so you can keep pace with inflation. So let's so that kind of gives you an idea of numbers that we're looking at. But let me give you just some really general guidance, and that's what it is. It's very general, and so let's look at that. So generally speaking, by your 30th birthday, and I know most of us are older than that, but by your 30th birthday, so share this with your younger girlfriends or your granddaughters. You need to have one times your annual salary saved for retirement. And that means if you're making $50,000, you need to have $50,000 in your 401k. If by your 40th birthday, you want to have 3 times your annual salary saved in your retirement accounts. So 50,000. Well, hopefully you've increased it some, but let's say 50,000 3 times would be 150,000. By your 50th birthday, we're going to step it up. You need to have 6 to 8 times your annual salary in your retirement accounts. 6 to 8 times. And that's maybe where some of you are. Now, by your 60th birthday, you want to have 10 to 12 times your annual salary. So maybe you're making 100,000. You need to have $1 million plus in your 401k and IRAs, so that you could, for drawing on in retirement. And then by retirement, so maybe you're not retiring until 65, 66, you need to have 12 to 15 times your annual salary saved for retirement. So let me give you an example of time value of money. This is my technical part. Let's say you've got a granddaughter and she's 30 and she hasn't started saving for retirement yet. But you talk to her and you tell her you can put a maximum of $19,500 in your 401k this year. And that breaks down to $1,625 a month. And she takes your advice. And she starts doing that. And she puts it in a growth portfolio that's averaging an 8% return, which is very, very doable. In 37 years, so she's 30. So let's say based on the year she was born, her full retirement right now would be 67. And she consistently does it, 1,625 months per month from now for the next 37 years. That portfolio, her investments would be worth $4,443,597. And you know that's probably what she's going to need because we've got inflation. And we're talking 37 years, so it's not just going to double once, it's almost going to double twice before she retires. So that's why it's so important to start young. Let's say you're 50. Maybe some of you here are like, oh shit, I haven't started saving. What the heck am I going to do? It's not over. You can still catch up. So you're 50. You decide you're going to fully fund your 401k. You can put not only $19,500, but you've got that $6,500 catch up. So you can contribute $2,166 a month. And let's say you do that. You have zero in retirement savings at age 50, but you're totally committed to socking absolutely the maximum away. And that would be $2,166 a month. And let's say you've got 17 years, so you're going to retire, I'm saying at age 67. You get that same average return of 8%. So it's still in a growth mode, which you're going to need yours to be. Your your pot of money, your portfolio would be worth $941,511. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that, but with those numbers that I gave you, that's kind of what you can expect. Why? Because you've got time value of money, and you've got the interest factor, and stocks. You need stocks in your portfolio. That's what a growth portfolio is. Work with a financial advisor as far as putting all that together, but those are the numbers. And so, even if you're 50 and you haven't saved anything for retirement, it's not too late. You can still get started. So what's the moral of my story? There's no one number when you're saving for retirement. You're all unique. You all have your own retirement dreams, and you've all got your own budget. But you need to know where you are today, where you want to be, what it's going to cost, so that you can match up your retirement income with your expenses. So that's the financial roadmap of saving for retirement. As with any journey, there's going to be side trips, there's going to be delays, and there's going to be detours. The important thing is that you start saving today, that you make it automatic, and that you continue to increase it. And I'll take any questions right now, Maggie, and then I want to share a personal story.
Of course, that sounds great. This has been great information to get ready for retirement. Even me being younger, giving me some preparedness. So some questions we have are, what if I don't have a retirement or a 401k, but my husband does? Am I funded?
That's the question, am I funded? So a retirement account is in that person's Social Security number. So it's their individual account. Hopefully he has you on as the beneficiary. I would double check that if I were you. But you can still have a spousal IRA. So it's not that you can't have anything. And spousal IRAs are even if you don't have income. So as long as your spouse, and it doesn't matter if it's him or her, as long as your spouse is working and has income, you can open a spousal IRA. So at least you can get something started. And you still have those same, $6,000 a year unless you're 50, and then you've got the additional 1,000. So you can still have an IRA and be saving that way. And that's in your Social Security number. And I highly recommend it. It kind of goes back to my personal story, which I'll share in a minute, but you never know what life events are going to come. Every state has different asset laws and how they're divided in a separation or divorce. And so you've really got to plan for your own retirement in addition to planning as a couple.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's excellent advice. Some of those numbers, Linda, can seem like big numbers, like $1 million numbers. Mm-hmm. And it can be kind of scary to think, oh my gosh, I'll never have that kind of money, especially if you're solo. And, how can you earn more? It's been a tough year for many, many people. Mm-hmm. But I do think the fact that start with something, start simple. Mm-hmm. Talk to people like you, money coach, and make a plan, because what I find with purse strings is many women fear the money conversation. Mm-hmm. And what we need to do here at Purse Strings is we're creating a fearless environment. Mm-hmm. So, the numbers sound scary and it seems far off, and people think, oh, think about that tomorrow, bless you. Yeah. But come to the table, as Maggie would say. Start now, start simple, start small, and learn what else you can do to help yourself. So that's, I think, the most important message. That money grows. It's amazing how it can grow. So even if you start simple, you'd be surprised in a year from now how much you can earn. So there are lots of different ways that you can save automatically, and talk to people who are very knowledgeable about the best vehicles to use for that. So yeah, great information.
Absolutely. Any other questions, Maggie?
Yeah, we have one that's how do you cross over from building the pot of money to using some of the pot?
So that's a really good question. So that's, your retirement. So you've grown it, you've accumulated it, you retire, and then you're going to withdraw it. And that's where you work with a financial advisor to reposition those assets so they are more income generating. They don't have to be so growth oriented. And that's when you can dial down some of the risk on the investments that you're invested in. So I have a whole nother lecture on that, how we want to have our money positioned 1 to 5 years, 5 to 10 and out. So it's really important that you are working with somebody who is holistic, looks at the whole picture, and isn't so focused on the investments, because I don't want to make it sound like it's all has to do with the investments. You really want to make sure that they're working with you to put together a comprehensive plan that addresses short, medium, and long-term financial goals.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And we have one more question here. My husband retired early with a full pension due to injury, medical coverage until Medicare kicks in. House is paid off, small 401k and some savings. Feel we won the lottery, but we do need to keep. But do we need to keep 401k in safe zone as is, or should we try to grow? We are mid-50s.
Great question. I'm sorry that he had to take early retirement because of medical issues, but thank goodness you've got a full pension. That I would say, your 401k goes back to my comments about inflation. So you may think that, I don't know what a small 401k is. It's different for everybody, but it is the 3% inflation is going to erode your purchasing power. So you might think you have 100,000 sitting there now. It's not going to be 100,000, or it's not going to buy that same amount of assets 25 years from now, and you're in your mid 50s. So if you have good health, you're looking at prices not doubling once, but twice. So you have got to get that 401k into some growth. Now, everybody has a different risk tolerance, and I'm not going to tell you that you have to put it 100% in stocks, because that's probably not the right thing for you. But you've got to have some growth so you keep up with inflation at least. So once again, work with a financial advisor. But I don't want to make too many, suggestions investment wise, but you have to have it invest at least some of it for growth.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
How about we listen to your personal story and see if any more questions come in?
Okay. So I'm a CPA, and I was a financial advisor for 10 years, and I had my retirement dialed in. I knew my numbers. I was married. I knew when we were going to retire, when we could retire. We'd done all this planning, and, we were on track. And at age 60, I got a divorce. And talk about a detour in my retirement planning. It was like like I got hit in the gut. But the good news was it allowed me to dream the retirement I wanted, and to actually entertain ideas about things I had never thought I could do. And so I'm sharing that with you. And my retirement is great. I changed a few things. Thank goodness I had been saving for retirement. I had been maximizing my 401k. It was, I would say, the hardest thing was when I had to write him a 6-figure check for half of it, but I was still okay. I still had my various sources of income. It wasn't 2 incomes anymore. It was 1, but I was okay. And you know what? I was happier than ever. And I share that with you because probably half of us are divorced or have gone through that. And so that's why my comment to that one question is, yeah, it's great to plan together. And hopefully, none of you end up in a divorce situation. But if you do, it's not going to be twice the income. It's not going to be the same. And that's why you need to make sure that you're saving for your retirement. I see too many, these are two big issues that I see way too often. And that's, okay, a spouse, the husband has a pension, and he takes the pension as 100% during his life, not joint lives, his life. That means when he dies, you get nothing. The other thing I see is women not opening their own retirement accounts because they think they're covered by his. You're not. There's no guarantees in life. That's why you have to open your own IRA. I strongly recommend it, or your own 401k, and you need to be funding it just as much as he is. It's joint. It's 50-50. You both need to be funding it. So all that to say is the more informed you are, the better choices you can make. Like Barb said, there's no judgment here. We totally are here to educate and to make sure that you are making informed choices when it comes to your money, so that you're not caught off guard when a life event happens, whether it's a divorce or losing a spouse. Oh my gosh, I've seen this so many times, and Bo alluded to it when he was doing the Social Security presentation, is people not knowing the best way to take their Social Security benefits. And that can be pretty devastating too, as well as a pension 100% over the one life and not joint lives. And there's a lot more that goes into retirement planning, but in 1 hour, it's broad brush and big picture. But feel free to host any questions, to write any questions, and we'll try to get to them. I also, just FYI, put together a retirement planning checklist. And so Maggie's going to post that, I think, along with the recording. So you can take a look at that. It's just a PDF. But what I did was I sat down and I said, okay, if you're 10 plus years from retirement, these are the steps you need to be going through to plan for retirement. And then if you're 5 to 10 years out, these are the things you need to be looking at. If you're 2 to 5 years from retirement, these are critical. And then if you're 1 year, if you're just 1 year or less from retirement, you really got to dial it in. And I have several things for you to take a look at there. So I hope that will be helpful too, because sometimes it's nice when we can have a piece of paper in front of us and kind of check it off if you're, a list checker. But anyway, so I'm offering that to you as well. Maggie, back to you.
Wow, that was great. And thank you for the list. We definitely will post it up there. I'm glad you mentioned divorce, which no one really likes to talk about, but it's 50% these days. I've been through divorce. I'm now remarried, but it's never an easy time. And that was really kind of, women are gobsmacked with all that comes at them during that time. And that's another reason for purse strings, is because I could see women were not financially prepared and really overwhelmed at that time. Not a good time to be making financial decisions and realizing where they were financially. So it's all about planning upfront and together as a couple, right? It doesn't mean everyone's going to go through divorce. It means you both need to come to the table and talk about planning, like you need to talk about raising your children or how much we're going to spend on our vacation or whatever it might be. You need to have those conversations consistently and ongoing, so you're both headed down the same path.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Awesome. It doesn't look like there are any other questions coming in, but that was great. It's a lot of quality information and can really get you prepared. I don't know. I haven't thought about retirement, but thought about my mom's for her.
She's always asking me, Mom, are you set?
I'm not ready to take care of that.
Yeah.
Listen to all this advice people are giving.
Yeah.
Okay, you need to open a Roth IRA and put at least $100 a month in there. Automatic. Do it.
I have a Roth IRA, so
good.
Check on one point.
Okay.
Yeah, check that off. So yeah, she's a good She listens and does. So again, thank you, Linda, and thank you to everyone in the 50 Plus and Fabulous group, and especially Kim, your fearless leader. She's awesome. We were so glad to be able to participate with you this whole week. And you can always find us at purstrings.co or join our Purse Strings group, which is called Purse Strings for Financially Fearless Women. We're there every Thursday. We do a live at noon Central. Anything else, Maggie, you have to add?
You could reach Linda at lindalingo.com. She is also one of our Purse Strings approved professionals. So she has her own webpage on the Purse Strings website, purstrings.co. So you can check out all her information there as well. And we just want to give a big thanks for everyone showing up today. Thank you, Linda, and everyone else for a great week. It's been a lot of financially fearless. Way to come to the table.
Yeah. All right. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Maggie, you